Hello, my name is Bobby Perry. This is the 10th episode of BPerryFilms Podcast. Today we'll be discussing how to find your voice and steps to finding your passion. Today's guest, we have Lenny Bradford, who is a blues magician for Joe Louis Walker, playing bass.
True story.
We will be sharing both of our stories as to finding ourselves, and hopefully it inspires you to find yours. Okay. Now, Lenny, please can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your background story?
My name is Lenny Bradford. I live in the Boston area. I have lived in the Boston area ever since I was 18. I moved up here to go to college. I was originally born in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I played around there. You know, I was in school, I was always about music. So it was just a logical progression for me to move up to Boston to study music at in Boston at Berklee College of Music. And I just meet folks wherever I go and play along with them. And through the course of doing that, I've had all these different musical experiences, not just playing music, but teaching music. And I got to be a Boston school teacher too for a little while. Again, teaching music, which is how I met you. And it's playing music. Music is music and love. What else is there?
Right, I feel you. So we'll start out by defining finding your voice. In your definition, how do you go about this, finding your voice?
It's definitely a learning curve. It is always about what you hear in your head, what you're feeling in your heart. And also, because like some of that times you might be thinking, oh, this is right. And it's like, oh no, it's very wrong. So you have to like adjust and like, that's why we have teachers. That's why we have mentors. That's why we have like people who have been there, and you watch them and you like, oh, they're doing it a little different than what I do, and you adapt that. And that becomes part of you. When you take that in and you internalize that, what comes out is all you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not them anymore, and it's not them and you. It's the both of that, and that combining that is you, and that is how you get your voice, because you're constantly learning. You are constantly learning. You don't stop learning until you die. And there's so much to learn.
It's true.
You're just constantly, it's like, because you hear something new. And if you're listening or watching, because it doesn't matter the art form. It doesn't matter the art form. As long as you're listening and watching and seeing new things come in, that affects you. And you can, it's like, oh, okay, I can incorporate a little bit of this. And it adds more and makes your voice more prominent and more distinct. That's the word, more distinct. Because when your voice is so distinct, everybody knows. It's like, oh yeah, he drew that. Oh yeah, that's him on the radio. Oh yeah, I know his dancing style.
Identify who they are. Yeah. I would say for me, I think it has to do with self-awareness. How you find yourself starts as a baby, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Both of your parents, the gene comes inside of you. It doesn't matter how good or how bad of a parent is, you're going to build up your own personality. And while you're growing up, you have all these external factors who morph you into this person, and it's up to you to take control, kind of, as you grow up in age. It's kind of like when people say, when your kid hits double digits it's not on you as a parent anymore. It's more on them. So it's like, how do you teach your kid these valuable skills that can implement them in the long run for good terms? And how do you get rid of the negative energy and push that back in the past? You know, it's like,
As a parent, I can say that you are always constantly invested in your children.
Mm-hmm.
I am anyway. You know, it's like they don't come to me all the time when, you know, if something's wrong, you know, I don't expect them to do. They're in their 20s, and you know, they're in their 20s now and 30s. My son is 33, and it's like they are grown. They're grown people, but you're still invested in them, and they're learning, and you want to help them. And yes, like you say, it is the taking it all in and stuff, but I don't know, you know,
that's awareness. It's like, what makes you happy? What makes you sad?
Yeah.
What is that kind of like fulfillment that you feel each time? Like, you can start out, I'm not sure if you read the book Tiger Mama, but they were talking about how it was like in an Asian culture where you have to get like straight A's, you have to learn how to play an instrument. And sometimes the kids are just like, I don't want to do this. I have a knack for something else. I want to try this out. And sometimes the parents don't understand. But when you take that initiative to show them, this is what I enjoy, this is my hum experience, that fulfillment, then it might motivate them to be like, oh, okay, maybe we can add this on too. Or, you know, keep growing and growing, because life is an ongoing journey. You don't know what's going to happen.
Very true.
It rains, it snows, it hails, but how are you going to respond to that? Are you going to just stay in your house all day, or are you going to go out and do something productive? You know?
True. Very true. Very true. Very true. And that's where being invested in your child, you teach them about what is negative and what to stay away from. And you want to instill good values in them, and you want them to be able to speak to you honestly. You know, my son was playing trombone for a while, and he's playing piano, and I was happy. Yeah. But then there came a point where he didn't want to do that anymore. And I was like, but I had to realize it's his journey, not my journey.
Yeah.
You know, and I want him to be happy. I want him to follow his journey the way he sees it, and the way for him to learn that internalizing thing, you know, and for it to come out as him, as you do, you know, all the things that you are involved in, they come out as Bobby Perry, right?
Yeah. But everybody has their own identity. Just because you see someone doing something doesn't mean that's right for you. You don't know their journey. You don't know what obstacles occurred. All you see is like the achievements that you see on the news or articles and stuff. But are they truly happy where they are? And that's the question that we don't always ask.
That's very true. That's why also you can't really judge people, because also when you've been around people, like, here's an example. There's a very famous guitar player that I had played with, and he was known he was from Britain, from England, and he was known as a very famous pop guy and a rock star, you know. And so that's what everybody knows him as. When I got into rehearsal with him and we're hanging out, we're playing, we're talking, I learned he had all these other sides, and I was surprised. And then, like, wait a second, I had been judging this man from what I'd seen like on TV or blah, 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 Wolf, Crackle, and Pop. And it was like, that was totally wrong on my part. And here he was this multifaceted artist. And it's like, oh, and it really woke me up to not judging anybody, you know, like, because there's so many other things that goes on in people's lives and that you don't see. that you don't see, but they still have all this other stuff going on. And so it's like, yeah, like you were saying, exactly as you were saying.
How do you identify, like, how do you go to this place of saying in conversation when people ask you who you are, not just your nationality, your culture and stuff like that, but who are you as Lenny Bradford? Who are you as Bobby Perry? Who are you as a viewer or teacher or student or whatever your occupation is? Where do we, at what age and what time frame, or if there even is an age, when is finding our voice appropriate to be like, this is who I am. I don't care what you say, but I'm proud to be the person I am today. You know?
That should be instantly. You should always be proud of who you are. Always. Always. Never back down from that. Never be shy of that. Because we're all different, and being Americans, unless you're 100% Native American, you're from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is here mixing around. There's, somebody has a relative that's like part this, part that, part this. It's part of the American experience. We're all made up of so many different things. And we should all be proud of all of that and stand up for all of that, and no one should give you crap for that. No one's put you down for, like, he's one of those crazy blah, blah. No, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. And not in just my opinion, that is just wrong morally.
Mm-hmm.
I stick with that. I stand by that.
Yeah.
When I had you guys, I always was trying to get you guys to be you. And I always just wanted to show you guys other things that were out in the world. That's why, like, when I would go on those tours and I come back, I would bring you guys globes. I used to bring back globes to the school from the different countries, so y'all could see the different, languages. We're not just speaking English. The English is not the only language in the world. I remember bringing a globe back from China. So there was a globe all in Mandarin that the school had. There was one all in German, all in the Dutch language, just so you guys could see it's a big world out there. And, we need to embrace all of that. You need to see all of that. And you should be proud of who you are when you go out there. You say, yeah, man, I'm Bobby Perry. I'm from back in Boston. How you doing? Right? And people should be able to go, oh, hi, Bobby Perry. Yeah, come on, come hang with us. Come see how we dance, flamenco when you're in Spain, come see, wherever you are, come eat some crawdads with us down here in Louisiana,
I still remember the time when we were in class and you brought us to the studio and we had to develop a song and lyrics and chorus. And I was just like, I'm good at writing, but I'm like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And it wasn't that bad. But it's just like getting into that initial step has nothing to do with imposter syndrome at all. It's just like, how do you feel comfort with just you, this mic, someone in the background doing little auto tunes or whatever you need to do, the engineers, making you sound good and hearing your voice for the first time. Like, even when I do this podcast, it's just like, it's so weird. And then I have to edit through it. And I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe implement that.
Here's a question for you. Tell me about what it feels like for you hearing your voice. Like when you're standing there listening, you're like, oh, okay. I heard that. I said that,
Like how I'm hearing it. And you're kind of hearing it from a third person's lens. So like when your internal thoughts are like, okay, I get this. Like it's one thing of being in a state of mind of I have to perform this. but being in a present moment, that's a surreal experience.
What about the sound?
The sound was good. We got to try out different instruments, different, well, not strings and chords, but it was just like neat, just trying out different beats, like up tempo, low tempo, and you just try to find the one that meshes with your voice. Maybe you should speed up the pace of how you're pronouncing your language or dialogue, or
Right.
maybe slow it down so it sounds like more innocent. It just depends on what your groove is.
Right. And my job was to put the chords to what you guys were, what you came up with. And it's like, okay, because I wanted it to be as much you and the way you were feeling and what you were hearing and seeing in your life. That's what they were all about. That's what I was about, to have you guys have your experience on tape, on a CD, on vinyl. So like you guys could see and hear. Oh, and you can come back 10 years later and go, oh, that, okay. Because those were good. You all did a good job, I thought.
Thank you. It was a fun experience, just seeing everyone and their different interpretations of what they were thinking, what they were feeling, because it wasn't the same song. Everybody had different energies. Everybody had different backgrounds, even though that we went to the same school, but everyone's experience is different, and how we integrate story. And we actually created a CD at the end, I think, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. You know what? Maybe at the end of this, I'll go up and I think I know where it is upstairs. I'll go find it. My room here is a mess. We had a flood, the water heater. And so this was Lake Bradford here, this all the basement, everything. So we had to quick move my instruments. We were moving books, everything, all the stuff my wife was working on and stuff, we had to get all that out of the way and put it up. So there was no flood damage and stuff like that. And it was a mess, man. So I'm still slowly but surely getting all my stuff back together and finding stuff. But at the end of this, I'll go grab that CD.
Well, we just call that the artist room. It's not supposed to be clean. Just get ideas out. Like, you should know how I am. I just throw papers everywhere. And I try to be green. Like, I try to do everything electronic. But sometimes you got to print things out. Like, if we're reading contracts, yes. I want to, I'm reading everything, fine detail, because sometimes you get strained in your eye from looking at computers.
Yes.
But yeah, I try to be as green as possible, though.
Right. Right. Good for you, man. Good for you. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Man. Next question.
Okay. Part of finding a voice, you have to figure out what motivates you. So what got you into playing music, and then how was that experience of doing it for the first time? Kind of like the same question that you were asking me.
Okay. I was about, say, 11 or 12. I was 12 years old. And I was riding in the car with my aunt, and this song came on the radio. And for the first time in my life, I really understood. I heard the bass and I understood and I was like, and I'm freaking out. And she's like, you okay? I'm at there. Listen to the bass. And she goes, what's that? and I explained to her. And so I started singing the bass part with her. She said, oh yeah, I hear it. And so her and I were listening to it on the way up. We were driving. And then it was like, that was like that light bulb moment that went off in my head. And from then on, it was like, that's all I could think about. I wanted to play bass because I had been playing music. I played piano. I played trombone. I played and they were okay. They were, it wasn't what I wanted. But when I heard the bass, that hit me in the heart. Bobby. And that was what I wanted.
That's how it felt for me. My first dance class. I'm just like, I'm an introvert, so I was really shy. So I try to hide in the back a little bit, and they're like, nope, you're coming to the front.
There you go.
Just like, wow, it was like a life-changing experience. I started out in ballet, got inspired by the Nutcracker, and then I grew up. I started getting exposed to different artists like Alvin Ailey.
Yes.
And I got into modern, and I wanted to start choreographing And it was just the translation of ballet of how they're able to use their artistry of storytelling through movement. And you have audio and costumes bringing you into that experience.
Right.
And it's just like amazing to me how just the music alone can take you somewhere, like take you on an adventure. Like when you're going through iTunes and exploring through the music catalog of different artists that you never heard of. I'm just amazed that these people don't get Grammys. Like they're talented and amazing. But
Yeah.
it's like it's it gives me hope and joy and that kind of like that release of that emotion that I was dragging around all day, happy, sad, angry, just exposing myself to different environments and letting that journey run through my body and mind and you know.
Here's something here too. The very first time I ever did theater, I was in high school and we did Godspell. And I was kind of like hooked. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool and stuff. But when I got up here, I was in a show called Dancing in the Streets, which was down at it was the Next Move Theater, which isn't there anymore. And that was with a guy named Billy Wilson, who choreographed it. And Billy has had 2 Tonys. And while through working with him, I really saw how the combination of music and dance work together with a great choreographer. Boom, how you tell that visual story. And it was just like, wow. And that's where I really, really, I mean, I always liked theater, but then it was just like, it was another thing, man. And so when I got into Black Nativity, I was like, yeah, this is really cool too and stuff, and like, because the person who was the musical director of Dancing in the Streets was also the musical director and producer of Black Nativity. So it's amazing, man. It's like you say, so much, like how come some of these people aren't more people have Tonys, and stuff, and through all of that and Emmys, man, because like
Yeah.
the choreograph for TV shows, man. It's amazing. I'm always amazed by choreographers, man. I truly am.
Yeah. It's an experience. Not only are you the teacher, you're also the student because you're always reflecting on your work. And then you have to understand what the audience is feeling. I'm not sure about you, but we go through a panel of judges and they're just like, we like this, we like that, take out this, add that, let's work on the lighting next. Let's work on the costume. It's like a benchmark requirement that you go through.
Right. Well, or in the professional world, they call that full dress rehearsals.
Yeah.
Full dress rehearsals, because then you're like, all right, you're getting that lighting right. Like, no, lighting cue 12-3, or whatever it is, 12C, and stuff like that, like, all right, no, 7H, get that one right over there. Boom, boom, boom. You're going through all of that. That's another thing too. I worked with this lighting guy who had worked with like Todd Rundgren, and he worked with the Grateful Dead. And this was a guy who'd been all around the world and worked with major artists. And like, and I've, and I, when I was there, I got to see him work, and I got to work with someone like that. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, you really, you really understand that too when you really see it, when you really work with a real pro. He's no longer with us. He transitioned probably about 10 years ago, but he was like, I saw his artistry and I was like, I understood. I was playing, but by what he was doing on stage, I was able to feel the emotions come through. So it's like, it's combining all those things. And that was his voice. That was his voice.
Yeah.
Light.
I mentioned in my fundraiser video, the previous episode from a couple of days ago, I like being in the whole creator space. It's like I come to rehearsals like before the show 2 hours early. I want to see them build the set. I want to see the lighting. I want to see everything. I want to know everybody's role, how I can contribute to this, how can I contribute to me. It's like a full out team. And I thank them every show, every rehearsal, because they're bringing my vision together. And people take them for granted. They're like, let me be a diva. I run this. But no, without them, what you got? A stage with an empty audience?
Right. Man, I'm always talking to the production people and always saying them thank you for your help and everything, because without them, man, you're just some guy standing up there on stage. Or for you, it's just like you're a guy like talking, all right, imagine this happening. All right, now imagine that happening, and this guy over here, he's going to be saying this, that's all it is.
I'm a cookie, but they appreciate my work ethic. Like, I want them to see my vision and make it happen in some type of way.
Yes.
I don't like the fact that we always have to make disclosure, like strobe lights. There's no real guns, or, it takes out the interesting concept. But I guess you got to warn people for people's safety, and people get seizures. But if we didn't have that, people would be more surprised.
Yeah. Very much so. Because, the last thing you want is a lawsuit.
Right. That is true. Beware of lawsuits. I think the last point that we have for finding your voice is your values, what you believe in, and what are these core you need day to day to perfect your craft. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or just a regular person who doesn't have these fancy titles at the moment. What are some of your values that you live by?
Always being honest, always being true to yourself. I like a lot of different styles of music, but also, we see a lot of things, a lot of injustice, a lot of good things happening, a lot of bad things happening. And that affects our art. That affects our art in a big way. That affects what we want to say as an artist. That affects how we feel as just a person. And man, when you internalize that, like, this is kind of bringing back all the things about being who you are and your voice and stuff. When you internalize that and you let out what you feel, because you have to speak from your voice. You have to say how you feel. Otherwise, if you're keeping that stuff locked in, man, that's no good for you. That's causing cancers and people are getting all kinds of internal issues and stuff. They got to go to see the doctor for this and the doctor for that, because they held all that stuff in. Don't hold that stuff in. You got to let it out. It comes out through your art. I mean, you can't have no social skills. You have to be socially, you have to put it in a way where you have to put it in a way where people understand you. And they're not taking offense right away. They're opening to listening to what you have to say.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I agree with that.
And it's got to be.
I have the podcasts and I have the different speakers. It's because I noticed that a lot of people take on other people's personalities from looking online or TV. And it's just like, find your own voice. And they're like, this is my voice. I'm like, no, you sound exactly, and you're dressing exactly like this person. And we call those people influencers.
Right.
Like, are they really influencers, or are they imposters? Or are you trying to be an imposter of them? It's not about the likes, the clicks, the whole, I have 1 million followers. I'm like, most of these people pay for that. So just
Yeah.
being
How about that? How about that? You know, I like that you call them imposters. That's good. I'm stealing that.
quote me on that.
Man, it's like there is.
It's just bizarre.
There's a song. There was an old song. There was a band called the Counting Crows, and they had this song called Mr. Jones and Me. And in one of the lines, it goes, "We all want to be big stars, but we don't know how." And it's like some people are just like copying.
Because I see that working for someone, but like we had mentioned before, our experience is going to be different. Just because you watch, here's my thing. Everybody watches these YouTube videos. Please continue watching mine, but I'm just speaking of overall. But a lot of these creators take information from other people's channel and just say the same thing, but it's under their channel, but they're making it seem like it's under their voice or whatever, and it's really not.
Correct.
And it's time for us to take charge and like, let's find videos that help us, give us solutions, like tips, not giving you the right answers. Because even with my channel, I'm like, I give you definitions, I tell you what the story is going to be about. We break it down into different components so people can understand and translate it. Yes, my videos are kind of long, but if you watch the whole thing, you get a lot of substance out of it versus a 15-minute video that just tells you 5 steps of how to get rich. And these people don't really live that lifestyle. Why are you listening to that person of get rich in a week? Does that make sense to you? Are you born with that type of privilege? Are you born with money? Or do you live with your parents? Or are you living in your car? Because these are real stories.
These are real stories, and those are real situations. And yeah, here's something else too. Everybody is losing their attention span. Nobody can think longer than 5 minutes at a time, and stuff like that. So it's like, and man, people have to start getting smarter. They have to start getting smarter, man. They have to start paying attention more because things are changing around and they're not necessarily for the better. Not necessarily for the, some might be, but there's still other things going on that, you got to keep your eyes open, and you have to learn. You have to learn. It's not like you were saying, you just can't give them the answers in 15 minutes. They have to go through it. They have to go through it. Otherwise, they're not going to internalize it. They're not going to get their voice out of it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now we're going to go into finding your passion. What do you believe that you're good at?
Talking shit. No.
We know. I'm going to keep this in the video. That's so fun. But personally, what do you think you're good at as you, as Lenny Bradford, the person, and then you as the artist? And I'm going to give you that title artist because you actually put in the time and effort. You're not just trying to entertain the crowd. You actually try to build that connection.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to help when I'm working with people. Like if I'm teaching in a teaching situation, I want to show people what I think I'm good at is just showing people different stuff. I can show you, look, here's 30 different ways that something is done. Oh, and by the way, I got another 30. It's like I can show you all different types of things. And it's like I can't make you do something, but I can just point you in the right direction. I can point you in a direction. And I can, by showing you 30 things, I can point you in multiple directions. And it's up for you to choose which direction you like. So I'm pretty good at turning people on to different things. I'd say I'm pretty good at that. I'm passionate about helping people grow artistically, artistically. Doesn't matter what their art is. I want people to be the best that they can be, because it benefits all of us. It truly does, man. It's like, all right, here's an example. I went to Berkeley and they had me come back and give a speech about my Berkeley experience.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I said was, view your time here as like the symbol of the car, the Audi. It's got those 4 circles, right?
Mm-hmm.
You grab all the friends you can grab. That's that first circle. Then get out of that circle. Grab a whole nother circle of friends. Get out of that circle. Grab a whole nother circle of friends. Get out of that circle. Grab a whole nother circle of friends. And do that. And like, people now call it networking. So you're networking. But here's the thing. When you get out of college, you're going to need those people. And they're going to need you. So if everybody's working together, they're going to call you up to, hey, Bobby, man, we got a national tour coming up. We're going up and down the East Coast, and we need a dancer for a couple of for the tour. Can you fill in for us for the month? Boom. You might be out of work that month. It's something that comes in for you and helps you.
Yep, opportunity. I always speak about.
Exactly. You might say, yeah, hey man, listen, I need someone to write some songs for this play that I got going, and stuff like that, like someone comes in and helps you, everybody helps each other. It's building each other up. It really does. It's good for everybody. It's good for everybody. And that's one of the things I try to get everybody to do, work together, understand, like what the other people are doing, and just, be encouraging of other people.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. I know for me personally, I am my brand. And I'll say it like this. When people think of Bobby Perry, they think of dance, choreographing. People forget that I do other things. So it was definitely great that I started this business. Everyone always asks me who's doing the lighting, the sound. All this stuff is all me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with simple directions. Hopefully everybody can follow and make everything that I'm envisioning come to life. But I thought with this business, I introduced storytelling through podcasts because my niche is documentary. I make films that tell stories. So I thought it was important to, when I have guests, tell their stories along with mine, so people have different perspectives, seeing that something worked for me, it may not have worked for someone else, but this person has a different experience, but I haven't tried it. And maybe I might want to try something different. I know journaling, I just started to implement that into my life after an episode that I did. And I thought, maybe I'm too busy, I can't commit to this. But I was like, let me commit once a week to do this. And turns out I'm doing it once or twice a week. And I really enjoy it, getting all my thoughts out.
Right.
Sometimes you can't always spin out your whole life story in a video because no one really cares. But getting that opportunity to come up with different topics that I'm interested in, reaching out to different people. Some people reach out to me on Instagram and say that we want to be featured. And I'm like, do you have a brand or business that you want to talk about? Yeah, I do healthcare. Hey, we're in a pandemic. Let's talk about health.
Oh, hell yeah. Very good, man. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
You're rocking it.
I'm creating that voice for people who are introvert and kind of shy and don't want to be in front of the camera. But guess what? Your story needs to be heard in some type of form. And people really appreciate it. And hopefully they resonate with you. And be like, maybe I want to start up a channel. Maybe I want to start up a podcast. Maybe I want to start filming projects about other people's stories, if not mine.
Man, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. I applaud you.
Thank you.
all day and all night.
It's exciting. And I hope that my channel continues to grow. And I do have a lot of projects coming out soon. And we'll get into that at the end of the podcast. But what are some of your inspirations? Who did you look up to and admire and you wanted to be similar to them? Not like them, but similar.
Man, all right, playing bass. I really liked Stanley Clark coming up. And there were other people that I was listening to. I had no idea who they were until I got older and I started doing the research. And I was like, oh, I really like Ray Brown. Yeah. Oh, I've been listening to him all along. I like Little Richard. I've been listening to him all along. I like, yeah, you know, all these people. And like, man, I still, you know, and here's the thing about finding your voice. It was taking all these things that I liked and internalizing them all and have them come out as me, Lenny Bradford, LB on the bass. Because, you know, I didn't want to play exactly like this person, exactly like that person, because this guy over here, he has a lick or two that I like, you know, I want to throw that in, you know, I'll do that and add that to something else that's totally in left field, you know. So everybody looks at you like, did you just play that? I go, yeah. And they go,
yeah,
okay, you know. And so these were my influences growing up, and I liked all different styles of music. So, and you know, and funny things happen to you, you know, like when you do things. I was telling somebody the other day about the very first time I ever sang on stage. You know, I was just, you know, I was feeling it. It was my first gig with this band. And I think I was like 16, 14, 15, somewhere around there, 15, 16. And the leader of the band goes, all right. He took his guitar off, set it on stage. He goes, and now on bass, Lenny Bradford. And he walked off stage and sat down in the front of the audience with his girlfriend. And I'm looking at him. And I look over at the drummer. The drummer's looking at me. And the guitar player's looking at me. I look back at him, and him and his girlfriend are looking at me. I look around the audience, and everybody's looking at me. I'm like, oh, I got to sing something. So I did. And that's how I started, you know. So little funny things happen to you that, you know, are not, that you don't necessarily have control over, but you got to be ready for. You got to be ready for. And that adds to your voice as a musician. And it becomes your influence. It becomes your influence because, like, all of a sudden you have to start taking in other things, you know, and so you become the sponge. And I'm sure this has happened to you too. You become the sponge, taking it all in, just like sucking in that, sucking in this, sucking in that, which is why you're doing the choreography, you're doing the podcast, why you're doing the journaling, why you're doing this, that, and the other, you know, writing plays. Boom. It's like you're a sponge. You're a sponge, and like, and this is you, and this is how you become the great Bobby Perry.
Working on becoming great, but there's always room to improve.
Always. That's like I said earlier in the very beginning. You learn until you die.
You know, but for me, it was definitely Alvin Ailey and Martin Luther King, and I say them not only because they're Black, because let's get that out there. It's because they had a mission. They wanted their voice being heard. They didn't care about what other people thought about them. They were confident. They had a mission. They had a goal. They had followers. They were like philanthropists, you know, being able to change people's views, expose them into different dialogues and perspectives, whether it's in public speaking, whether it's on stage, whether you're just trying to get other cultures to be a part of something big, let people know something that is more than what you just see, but what you feel. And I definitely looked up to them a lot growing up. And hopefully my journey, I can give that fulfillment to other people. And even if you pass away, your legacy still grows because you inspired other people to continue your legacy.
Yes, yes, very true, very true. You are so correct. Yeah, Alvin Ailey was such an innovator, you know? And of course, Dr. King, that goes without saying, you know, and that was a brave man, you know, because he was getting death threats all the time. But yet he stood his ground. He stood his ground. And he said what had to be said. He got beat up a couple times, he got thrown in jail.
But he never changed. He just came back stronger.
Yes, yes. And you know, and
that's like just being consistent and just really following your passion. And sometimes that can change, you know, like you don't always have to conform to what people say that you have to be because you're good at something. Maybe you have interest in something else. Like I watched the movie Soul for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, wow, this 2-hour movie really changed my life over. I'm like, do I just want to be known as just a dancer, choreographer, or do I want to be known as this creator because I like telling story in all types of art forms? And what it keeps me motivated is being able to edit things, tweak things, because if you're not tweaking these things, you're creating more error, you know?
Yes, yes. And that is part of the growing process, man. You're on your way, man. You're doing the right thing. You have the right mindset. You have the right mindset. Yes. And it's, you know, it's that constant growing thing though. And like, and being more than it's again the multifaceted thing, you know, because as people, as humans, as human souls, we're exposed to many things, and we can like many things because it's part of who we are. We can, you know, no one says I can't cook. I can cook. I like cooking. You know,
at least the house doesn't burn down, but don't trust me. I can make y'all some breakfast food, but that's my limit.
I've actually got a repertoire. I'm growing. You know, it's so it's like, you know, girl, you know, there's all kinds of things, you know, it's just, it's good. It's man, you know, as artists, we take all this stuff in. We take all this in, and we again, it comes out of us as our voice, as our passion, because we feel strongly about, you know, what someone said, what Dr. King said, you know, yeah, what Reverend Jackson said, you know, what whoever. It again, it, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be a modern situation, because there are people from the past who were saying great things. There are people in the future who will say, you know, Red Cloud, you know, that was a smart man. That was a very smart man, you know. And so, you know, there's just all kinds of things, you know. It's just, you know.
This is gonna be a combined question of how did you identify yourself as a kid versus now, and did the expectations meet your reality?
Ooh.
I'll give you a moment.
I knew I was different. I knew I was a little different from everybody else. And so again, that was kind of being shy, just kind of keeping it in, kind of watching, you know, but also at the same time, I was into like knowledge. So I there were things that I was into that I liked, really liked. I liked history. You know, one of the first things I ever start, you know, like I was little, and I found the encyclopedias at the house. My mother, they had been my older sisters, and I was like, oh, what are these books, And I just started going through the encyclopedias, and I was just like, oh, wow. So I knew at a young age I had to get out of the house. I had to get out of my little town. I knew there was a big world and that I had to see it. I knew that before I was in kindergarten. I didn't know how to go about doing that. I, so all my life, I've always known what I wanted for the most part. I've always known what I wanted. I just never knew how to go about getting it. So it was always me butting my head through and like, all right, boom. Oh, that didn't work. Boom. That one didn't work. Oh, okay. That one works, or a combination of this one and that one worked. So growing up is a tough experience. Teenagers really know that, because they're growing up and they're feeling things, their body's changing. I used to see that with you guys all the time, like seventh and eighth graders. And I was like, okay. I used to call it the knucklehead years. And, but it was cool because you have to go through that. I know I went through it, and it was like, all right, but even, you gotta point, at least point them in a direction. So I was just growing up, trying to be me, wanting to be me. And you run into people who have their own version of who you should be or what you should be. And I wasn't, sometimes you get caught in that and you can't get out of it. And you're like, all right. And you have to find a way to break away from that person and move on and be you and be honest to who you are and be what you feel inside. Oh, yeah. Growing up, the reality, of what I thought as a little kid would happen to my life, as opposed to what has happened in my life, have been not two totally different things, but it has been different. I'm still shooting for the things that I wanted when I was a little kid. Like, I always wanted to travel. When I was reading those encyclopedias, knowing that there was a big world out there and I knew I wanted to get out there in it. For the most part, I've done that. And I've done that with music, which I loved. I love music. Boom. Okay. I like to play the bass. Oh, hey, look, the bass will help me to get over to this country, get to Spain, get to France, Yeah, let's do that. I'm down,
Sure.
Two things in one,
For me, I definitely achieved a lot of my goals and exceeded a lot of people's expectations. I think people projected their negative insecurities onto me to tear me down.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew for me, I just kept myself in a little bubble and I was focused on just being me and finding myself. It was like a long going journey. I know when I turned 16, a lot was going on. You're maturing into like a young adult. Sometimes you're kind of like rebellious, but that's the journey of finding yourself. Sometimes people don't see your growth, but you see it. Like, some people try to handicap you, if that makes sense.
Yes, very much so.
You just have to get them to get the wheelchair out of your way and let you have that opportunity to walk. Learn on your own what's a mistake and what doesn't work. Maybe it comes out better than what they expected,
Right.
But let people who are creating have that experience to get their voice heard.
Yes.
Art form. Don't handicap them. Because they could be speaking to different people. You might have a different target audience for them. We talk about personas when it comes to business. like identifying who are these different groups. Is it the certain age that you're looking for, a certain demographic, geographic? What time of the day do they watch a video if you're doing YouTube or Instagram? What are their habits? How many impressions do you have? I'm using like social media terms if you don't, if you're not terminology. But what's going to make them click on your photo or video? And what message do you want them to experience?
Yes. Yes, this is all important. You know, I liked what you were saying about, you know, things about the handicapped, you know, like, you know, do not handicap, you know, the artist. Let the artist get out there and get their voice heard and get their things seen, you know? One thing, and I saw this happen. All these classic rock stations. Being a musician is, you know, I can only talk from my experience. So all of a sudden, I was seeing all these classic rock radio coming in, and 80s, you know, music only of the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 80s and 90s. You know, you're seeing radio stations like that. And what those stations did, they took away the opportunity for creativity among the music community. All of a sudden, you lost an outlet to be heard, you know, because, oh, you can, you know, the station used to play your stuff. Now they only play 80s and 90s, you know, and it's like, where do you go? You know, college radio, there's only, you know, it's only heard during certain times, and they, you know, and even their stuff is kind of structured, you know, but at least they'll give you a chance. But like, unless you're with a major artist, and here's another thing: you take a major radio station, the DJs don't get to play what they want to play anymore. It's all formatted. There's one guy, the station manager, the GM, and he's saying, all right, he's regulating. All right, this is what we play for this hour. This is what we play for this second hour. And then we turn it over. We play it again. Third hour, fourth hour. Then we turn it over. Fifth hour, sixth hour. Then the new DJ comes in, and we're going to change it a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. And this is what you play, you know? And that's what it is. DJs used to have more autonomy. They used to be able to play what they wanted to play. They had to play a certain amount of things, but they could also throw in their own thing, you know, but not anymore. So that's how they clamp down on the music community. The dance community, I don't know. I see you guys fighting back. I see you guys, you know, like all the little dance studios, you guys, like, I see people throwing in having shows that I, you know, and it's like, wow, yeah, you guys are still doing it. You guys are still, you know, granted, you know, it's not a big stage like the Schubert, you know, but it is you guys getting something out there and doing it, you know. A lot of, you know, they've shut that down for so many bands, you know, and bands can only, you know, people don't want to hear original music like they used to do. When I first came up here, no one was playing in a cover band. Everybody was playing in original bands. You know, you're playing your own music you were creating. You were the writer, you were the creator. What I used to always tell you guys is that whatever you guys hear on the radio, you can write something better. And that was one of the reasons to have you guys write the songs and take you guys into the studio so you could create your song and you could see, oh yeah, they aren't doing anything better than me. You know, the media is going to tell you that their stuff is better. You know, someone, they might have somebody paying, you know, somebody saying, oh yeah, you know, a publicist to say, oh yeah, this is the best, you know, buy this. But you can write anything better. You can write it. And that's what I try to instill in you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely hard in the music industry. I feel like even with all these people winning these awards, I don't think they give enough credit to the people who are behind the scenes that make these songs. I feel like we should have a platform, kind of like with the Oscars, where we see the songwriters, give them some exposure, not just a little credit that no one's gonna read, you know?
Right, right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, here's another thing too. With that, all right. Here's Joe's newest record. The artist that I work with is Joe Lewis Walker, and this is the new record. I mean, Joe's someone who's still putting it out. This is a CD. Now, most people,
Don't buy CDs anymore. I know.
which is bad. We used to buy records. LPs, long, big
Yeah.
ones. Like when I was, and stuff like that. I might even have one of those around here somewhere. And then it got down to C, compact disc. And now people stream. What this gives the credits of who the people were on the songs. Who wrote the songs? Who produced it? Produced by Joe Lewis Walker and Scott Petito. Man, when you stream, you don't get any of this information. Where do you find out? Oh, wow, that song was really good. Who played guitar on it? Who was the drummer on that? Was there even a real drummer? It might have been a drum machine.
That's true. I was gonna say that I am gonna make an episode in the future talking about copywriting. Not to give some context to that, just because you bought music off of iTunes doesn't mean that you have the rights to it. You have to go to these third-party sources, whether it's MusicBed, Artlist, what else? Epidemic Sound, Soundstripe, just naming a few, to get full rights. And even they have limitations. Like, say, if you're trying to use it on television, they have like their own criteria of like how much it costs, which is like thousands of dollars, depending on how big their audience is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they monetize on how many subscribers you have. Like, read the fine print, or even ask the support team right before you subscribe,
Yes. Yeah, because, man, the songwriters aren't getting paid for their songs anymore.
They're not.
No, Pharrell brought that up when, with Happy, how much he didn't make, and should have made, and that's a real thing, all the streaming, it's like they're taking the musician out of the music.
Mm-hmm. And the audience is different. People aren't into what tells that narrative. People are just like, I want to dance. I don't know. The mindset is so different.
It is.
Like, they're taking that creativity out of the picture.
Yes, exactly. And it's almost like they don't even care.
They don't. Like, my friend, when we were doing the fundraiser campaign, he had wrote a couple of songs, and his music was stolen, copyright infringed by an artist, and the person got a Grammy off of it.
No.
These are real stories. It's crazy how things work, and I'm still trying to figure out things with dance. How do I copyright dance, because it's just movement and people can improvise, kind of like with jazz music. But there's certain genres where you can't change the chords. It's kind of like ballet music. Like, there's that certain tone, certain sound that you're accustomed to, whether it's classical ballet, romantic, or contemporary, or any other genre of ballet. But it's like, if you want respect, you have to give it both ways,
Yes.
And how do us as a creator get our voices heard in a way that doesn't come off offensive? Because we want to come into the room and say, this is our music. We don't give you rights or permission to do what you're trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
But how do we explain that in words, or not even in words, but when you write out your report? Because I believe when you just say something, it doesn't really mean anything. But if you have things written down, it has a stronger impact.
I agree with that. And that's Joe's like, man, I have lawyers. He goes, I'm lawyered up. He's up there, he's up there.
Most of us can't even afford lawyers.
Right. I mean, he's in a situation where, he's an artist where he's on Cleopatra Records. He's on a major label. All right, I'm on 4 of his last 5 recordings, say. 5 under his name. And I have songs on these records, so it's like the stuff has to be copywritten, but he's in a situation where, because of this, he keeps himself in a situation where, if anybody's coming after his stuff, boom, he's ready, he's ready to handle it with the lawyer, it's like, and this is something I have learned, because I was not in that situation. I had no concept of that. Like, how do you do that? How do you afford the lawyer and stuff like that until I started working with this man. He's great. He's and he's someone who's been around. He's been there. He knows the world. And not just the music world. He can tell you about Fannie Lou Hamer. He knew her. So speaking with the civil rights, and stuff, he's just a great man. He's a great man.
Definitely sounds like it. We're going to close out. What are some key messages that you would like to give to our audience to get them to get on their feet and start pursuing their passion instead of just like listening to what we're just saying?
Just get up and do something. Get out and do something. Say you hear a song in your head. Can you play an instrument? Maybe you can't. Get a little recorder. Take your phone. Go to that camera. Hit that section where it says record. Film yourself singing the song. Go to somebody. Go to a musician that because someone who plays an instrument, and say, hey, can you help me with this? Boom. Here, I've got this going, Get started. You're like, maybe you want to be the singer, start listen, sing along to the radio. Sing along to old songs. Sing along to new songs. But sing in church. Man, folks be singing in church,
Sure do.
Yeah, right. And in Boston, man, come on. Everybody and his mother moved here from all over the world. You can find anything, everything. You want to cook, you want a restaurant, you want to cook, boom. Every kind of restaurant's there. You want to play any style of music, it's all there. I've played in Brazilian bands. I've played in salsa bands. Played in all kinds of rock, heavy metal bands. I've played country western. I've played classical. I've played blues, jazz. Capoeira. Remember I was teaching capoeira at the school for a little bit?
Yeah, that was an interesting class.
Yeah, But it was because I brought it in because it was music, because it was, it's a martial art that's music based. So, and the
origins of it is really inspiring.
Oh yeah, it's very deep. And so everything is there in the Boston area. There's nothing you can't find and learn how to do and be good at.
I would like to close out by saying, finding your vision, finding your purpose, just be you. Find what makes you happy, find out what makes you sad, find out what you're good at. Maybe you're not good at something. See if you can improve on that or just skip that skill in general.
Go to something else. Always be curious too.
Definitely be curious, following your passion, everything could change. What you view yourself 10 years from now might be something different from 20 or 30 years from now. Just find something that works and try to find some sustainability in some type of way. And just be yourself. Like I said, take this video, stop watching other videos, but listen to this video and get up and move. Like I tell everyone, be consistent, have accountability, take action. Don't just listen to us, just do it. Kind of like what Nike says, just go out and make yourself happy.
Exactly. Put that one foot in front of the other foot. Keep walking, another thing too is keeping your body in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. My father used to always say, if you have your health, you really are the wealthiest man in the world. And it didn't really hit me until I got older and I got diabetes. Man, it was like, oh, Daddy used to always say this, and it's like, all right. And then I really had to take my health seriously, because when you're young, you think you're immortal.
That's true.
You're like, all right, ain't nothing gonna happen to me. Oh boy.
I understand, because in dance, the wear and tear on your body, it definitely ages you very fast.
Take care of your knees, young brother. Take care of your knees.
I have friends with knee replacements, and it's real life.
I'm going through that right now. I've never had an issue with like my body, it's like I've always been active all my life. I've always been, for the most part, in good shape. I ate a lot of chocolate cake, but which got me the diabetes probably. But but I've always been healthy. And then, but this might be a symptom of the diabetes, my knee and stuff like that, my leg right now. This is why I'm not on the road right now too. I can't sit for more than 2 hours and stuff like that. Like us sitting here doing this is, I'm good for another 10 minutes and I'm going to have to stand up and walk around. But, I can still talk to you. I just got to stand up.
Where can people find you? Are you on Instagram, social media, and where can we find your music?
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of things of me on YouTube that I was like, oh, how'd that get up there? Who did that? But I don't really have my own thing out there. I'm on a lot of stuff. You will find me everywhere. I am on Instagram, Lenny Bradford. I am on Facebook, again, Lenny Bradford. You'll see pictures of me. Like if you see Joe Louis Walker, because I've been with him since 2012, and artists that I've been with before that, I've played with a lot of people, man, a lot of people. Like when we talk about dancing in the streets, we got a plaque from the governor. We're the longest running all Black musical in Boston history.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so it's like I've done all kinds of different things, so it's not just playing blues. I've played that, again, I played, going to Berkeley, I went to school with a lot of different people. So like, I see, I'm out there I run into friends all the time, Branford Marsalis, or say like Kevin Eubanks, who was the music director with Jay Leno on his TV show. And I see people all the time, folks that I went to school with, and we're all out there doing it. I'm around. You can Google me.
That's awesome.
Lenny Bradford, and I come up on all kinds of stuff, and my name pops up because I did this, I did that, so like there might be an interview in some magazine. I've seen interviews in magazines from different countries where I'm in or got mentioned and stuff like that, so I'm out there.
You can I do have a campaign going on Kickstarter. The link is in the bio. Support my channel. I have a web series that is coming out next year. Hopefully we can meet our goal of $4,000.
Yay.
I'm excited for that, and the guests that I'm going to have on this, and this is going to be all done in person, live recordings. And if you read the descriptions in the link, it'll tell you more detail of how everything's going to be formatted. You can find me on Instagram, Clubhouse, BPerryFilms. I have 4 empty slots for February and March BPerryFilms Podcast if you want to be featured. If you have a brand or business, please reach out to me if you're interested in it, and please sign up for those 4 slots if you qualify for that or feel confident for that. I'm fun to work with, and as you can see, we're 10 episodes in, and we're going to keep the momentum going. So thank you. I'm going to close out.
Right on. Right on. Bobby, I just want to say I'm very proud of you, and you rock, man. You're doing a great job. Continue.
Thank you.